Then we'll go from Adam.
Okay.
Is the Moose coming on? All right, okay. Then we'll go Paul Walker. We'll add people in after. We'll do a bit of an embargoed section for Saturday, and then we'll do a little bit of an embargoed section for the Sundays after that as well. If you could keep everything off social media until we finish, that'd be appreciated. Grazy, when you're ready.
Cheers, Kev. Chris, good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Rich.
Good to hear. We spoke to David McGoldrick a little bit earlier, and I know following the Fulham game last week, you said, look, we're still going to be fighting to the end here and seeing if we can pull off the improbable. But David came in and said, look, we've got Liverpool this Saturday, Villa on Wednesday, then Southampton next week. We're looking to win all three. How heartening is that for you as a manager to hear it from one of the leaders, if you like, in the dressing room?
Yeah, rightly so. They've got to go into every game looking to get a result and looking to win. We know we're up against it, current form and everything else that goes with it. But that has been the attitude of the group and the individual players right the way through my time. So I'm not surprised of David's attitude and his belief he has in himself and his teammates.
He also admitted in the chat that there's a degree of frustration amongst the players as well, because it is fine margins, as we talk about week in, week out. No doubt that's something you share as well when you're able to look back on the first 2/3 of this season, how many games you have been within a goal of the opposition.
Yeah, I think, as I said, it's become a little bit tiresome in my reflection and an opinion on it. But, you know, it's the truth that, big moments, other stuff that we have not been able to control, but the stuff that we have to look back and take and accept responsibilities, big moments. And I said that after the game to the players. You know, that Fulham game was very similar to, I would say, 75% or 80% of our games last year. The West Ham away game the week before, exactly the same, 75 to 80% of games that we played in last year. Nothing really in the game. A chance not taken, a mistake made, chasing the game, and on the reverse, it was that way in our favour the year before. The bit in between, as I said, I keep saying the bit in between. We're not the best team in possession. I don't believe we're the worst team out of possession, but the big moments, whether out of possession, whether in possession, we haven't taken. Big moments we haven't taken, and I've said that since the first 3 or 4 games, and I'm continuing to say that. And I suppose the word frustration is maybe the understatement of the year as far as me, the players and the supporters of Sheffield United are concerned.
And I suppose the same sort of thing applies when you think of Liverpool, doesn't it? When you look at the game you had at Bramall Lane last year, 1-0. You look at the game at Anfield this year when you took the lead, and there was a big moment in that game as well when you could have extended it. But obviously, they score 2 goals and take the points.
Yeah, you go to Anfield, you play Liverpool at home. I think at that time, obviously, they were on a terrific run and European champions, world champions. I think I even gave Mr. Klopp a bottle of champagne, tried to give it him before the game, but he wouldn't accept it. Gave him a bottle of champagne afterwards because of his remarkable, fantastic achievements that year, and then obviously to finish the season off in the way that he started it and win the Premier League by enormous amount of points, absolutely blitzing everybody in sight. We knew, last year that we weren't going to have the majority possession. We weren't going to have the majority of shots and dictate the game. So in those smaller periods that we would have to influence the game, we had to take, and we didn't last year, especially at home, and away at Anfield this year. We obviously got off to a fabulous start, and there was a couple of opportunities there for us to get something from the game that we didn't take. and you know the inevitable happens if you don't take those opportunities and you get beat, which we obviously did.
We heard earlier in the week as well, Boris Johnson say that all being well, there could be fans back inside stadia for the final game of the Premier League season. We all know what's gone on the last 12 months, and you don't want to downplay that in any way, shape or form. But is there an element, a small bit inside you, Chris, that says, what if fans were allowed in earlier this season? What if we could have had that atmosphere here?
Yeah. Listen, I can't come on and say that it hasn't affected myself, my staff, my players, and the general football club. It has affected us in a way that I can only comment on, which is a huge effect it has on us. And you know, I didn't start the game. I didn't go through my managerial and coaching sort of early part education and playing career. Even though I haven't played, I have played in front of quite small crowds and managed in front of quite small crowds. Sometimes a little bit more damaging to you because you can hear every comment and every word said about you. Majority of time bad instead of good. But we didn't get involved in the game to play in front of empty stadiums. And from my point of view, it has. And I don't think I can be criticised too much, or any football manager can be criticised too much, or any player can be criticised too much by saying that it hasn't affected them. I think it'd be pretty harsh for people to say, well, you're still getting paid, it's your obligation, and it's your responsibility to go out there and keep the game going. They have done that. Everybody at the highest level to keep the game going, to give people something to watch and hope and belief. But I don't think there should be too much criticism of anybody if they talk to us as human beings, as football people, to criticise us if we talk about how it has affected and how we have missed people back in the grounds, and most importantly, back in beautiful downtown Bramall Lane. Yeah,
for sure. Just final one from me, Chris. Ahead of Sunday, how are you shaping up? What's the team news, please?
Jayden Bogle out, Jack Rodwell out, Jack Robinson out, Chris Basham out, John Egan out, Jack O'Connell out, Zanderberg out, Lees Musset out. Not available. Some 1 to 2 available maybe in the next 3 weeks, possibly 4 of them 6 to 8 weeks, maybe a couple of them out for season. And obviously the rumbling on of Jack O'Connell's situation, which I've been consistent with and vocal on in terms of him when he comes back, and obviously the obstacles that he has to overcome to get himself back playing and get his career back on track is not straightforward. So that's quite a lot of players out, which obviously I think there's been 3 players available all season to us that have not had issues. So I think, for any team, that's a huge amount of players. For a team that's really, struggling or has the challenges of the second season in the Premier League, I'm sure you understand that does affect us quite severely and harshly.
Appreciate that, Chris. Good luck this weekend.
Cheers, Rich.
Cheers.
Hi, Chris. A big list of players that you've just reeled off in terms of players absent, but to have all your 3 first choice back 3 out is probably the biggest blow of the lot.
Yeah, it seems that way this year, that the injuries have come really in a place where we've been at our best over the last, we have to have a structure to play from, but especially going to the Premier League, settled, consistent side. And we talked about the back 8, whether it's the back 3 and the 5 ahead of them, or however you want to measure it up. But one of the best defensive records last year. as we talked about, allows you to get a foothold in the game and take those opportunities, which we did last year, to not take them this year. The other way, obviously, it's been hugely disappointing. We've not had too many injuries, big injuries to the boys at the top of the pitch. Obviously, Ollie Mack has had his shoulder injury. Lees has had his issues. The skipper obviously had the infection, and obviously Dave McGoldrick's had some issues as well. So just to, as I said, have 3 players that have not been affected by injury and illness all season is going to is a tough situation. And I've got to say as well, you might talk about what issues that were talked about at the start of the season about the amount of games. We've got the same muscle injuries as we had last year to this year, and we were fine and grateful that we had a healthy record. So obviously off the back of that, I would say sort of 80 and 90% of our injuries have been impact injuries that really, like the impact on Jayden Bogle, the in control challenge that I was told from the assessment that I get back given to me, in control, not reckless challenge by the goalkeeper on Jayden Bogle has put him out for 2 weeks. And as I said afterwards, delighted when you look at that the boy isn't out for a bigger period from that. So yeah, another impact injury, which goes along with the other injuries that we've had.
In terms of Chris Basham, are you able to say how long he's likely to be out for, Chris?
Yeah, possibly 3 to 4 weeks. He's one of those that's hovering between the 3 and 4 week mark.
And in terms of the sequence you've got coming up now, 3 home games in a row, how vital a period is this if you're going to stand any chance of staying up? Yeah,
it's been vital right the way through. So, we're not looking beyond Liverpool on Sunday night. That's been our focus in the last 2 or 3 days. Obviously, after the disappointment at the weekend.
Clearly keen to keep that belief, isn't it? Though you've seen with Fulham what their situation has changed after a run of good results just over recent weeks.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'm not really interested in what happens to other clubs. We'll always believe and we'll always be positive. And I'm a positive manager, as I've said. And we believe that we can win games of football, as I've talked about. We believe that, as David McGoldrick has said, that we can win Sunday. Realistically, we've got to play extremely well and take those chances, as we've talked about, as we have done in our time in the Premier League, to get any sort of result. And we're going to have to do that regardless of what nonsense people will say about Liverpool or anything else. They've got an incredible, talented group of players that whoever they put out, they've got an incredibly talented academy, whoever they draft in, and they'll cope with injuries in the best way possible for themselves.
What do you make of Liverpool's recent form? It's been quite remarkable, really, after the sequence of games that they had.
I've got to say, that's not for me to comment on, really. I've got to just comment on what we can try and affect and do. As I've said, they've got an enormous amount of talent, some players that have been winners for a long period of time. World Championship champions, champions of Europe, Premier League title winners, comfortably. Even if there's a bigger word than comfortably, then that's the word. And an incredibly talented manager that's been hugely successful right away for his career.
I mean, some of your best performances in the Premier League have been against big 6 clubs like Liverpool and the 2 Manchester clubs. Do you take some consolation from that, or does that make your current situation even more frustrating?
No, they have to be to lay a glove on them, or try to lay a glove on them. They have to be, they have to be really good performances, and we're going to have to produce another really good performance, like the ones that we did at Old Trafford and the Etihad a couple of weeks ago. We're going to have to produce our best performance or performances right the way through now to pick up any sort of results, and no change or difference at the weekend.
Cheers, Chris. Good luck
Cheers,
this
Adam.
weekend. Thank you.
Chris, you okay?
Hi, Paul.
How will the finish to this season shape the next, do you think?
Well, that's up to the finish and how we go about it. And I don't turn up at any game thinking it's an end of season friendly. There's nothing on it. There's always something on every game that you play, regardless of a pre-season friendly. There's always an opportunity to impress, and if the club, whatever season it is, whatever division there is, wants to hit the ground running, then a big end of season is better than a not so big. So there's always something to play for, Paul. There's always an obligation to everybody, as I keep saying, the professional footballers. Personally, I think mate, what I'm about. We turning back the clock. We won the League One title with 4 games to go, and you saw what happened then after the back of that, and everybody knew what happened with the players as well. So I think that's a decent enough sign to where I'm at, regardless of what happens at the end of the season or what happens next year.
What do you think will be the biggest lesson that you'll take away from this season into next, Chris, you personally?
Yeah, I think, Paul, I don't think it's a time to talk about that when the season's got 13 or 14 games to go. There'll be time for me to reflect. I reflect right the way through, but the biggest reflection will be at the end of the season. So really, I'm not going to get drawn or pulled into anything talking about where we're at this particular moment when we still got games to play.
Okay. Will you, though, be encouraging your players to try and play with perhaps a bit more freedom now?
They've always been encouraged to play with freedom.
Yeah, but the point on that, sorry, just to reinforce what I meant is, obviously last week you said you're not going to mug people off. The challenge is great now to survive. Do you feel maybe a bit of pressure has gone and that will help your players in any way?
Well, it shouldn't be. They should be playing as if, from their point of view, they know how to win football matches. They know what produces their best performance individually. They know what level they need to get to. So they should be looking at from an individual point of view what they need to do. And as I've said, I think it was after the Newcastle game, you play well, and if your mate plays well, then you've got a good opportunity of winning the game of football. I think after that Newcastle game, I had everybody playing in a manner that I know that they can play at, regardless of if they've played the last 5 games or they haven't played the last 5 games, if they've won or lost or whatever. It's there. To win games of football, there's pressure. They've got to show that they can play under pressure. They've got to show the freedom as well, because you don't win games of football or achieve anything by playing uptight football as well. So, they've got to find that balance from themselves.
The relationship with Jurgen, is that okay? Obviously, earlier in the season, quite a bit was made about the 5 subs and all that kind of thing. I'm not wanting to dig up old ground, but it's
what do you mean you're not wanting to dig up old ground? Why would you mention it then if you weren't going to dig up old ground?
But people will wonder if the relationship is okay, is what I'm getting at.
The relationship's absolutely fine. I've got nothing but admiration for Jurgen. He's a top-class manager. That's what happens. People talk and things get said. And, if I was precious about what people said right the way through, then I wouldn't be doing this job. People in the media I took notice of what the majority have said through my time as a manager. Then I don't think I'll be sat here, and I think that'll be the same for the manager of Liverpool. He's an incredibly talented manager. He's a winner. We all try to win, and he's done that in incredible fashion. And heat of the moment or whatever. If it was personal, I didn't take it personal, and you know, I've moved on. I've got, obviously, you know, for me to worry about stuff like that is way down the pecking list.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, Paul.
Thanks, pal.
Right, we'll go into the scribblers. We'll do a little bit for Saturday's embargo until 10:30 tonight, and then we'll do a bit for the Sundays after. Simon, if you're